It may have been a reasonable, uneventful journey back through the many event horizons that the Vladimir star skiff was traversing, but for a factor that had not been taken into account before Skorpat had departed. The beacon and guidance systems used on the ship were independently capable of navigation in deep space, but there were bands of impenetrable distortion that made all up that is into down, and caused that is lateral to shift in all ways sideways and to be diagonally cross-weft and uncomfortably interwoven the other way, and all the is there is inverted and triple spiraling Mobius helixed and backspliced, both physically and on a deeply spiritual level. Those who have thrived have described these zones in space as the purest form of hell. Those who have suffered hellish existences seek them out. The problem was not the sector that Skorpat would skirt around. Back in Earth's orbit, Hydes 27C had commanded a salvo of 30 interplanetary multiple impact vector, Hadium warheaded missiles be launched at the research facility and temple on Skeeth. This act of war was intended to extend the conflict that had involved Xamonarch. K2, his surviving clone, was still unaware of Hydes 27C's disposition or level of influence, and 27C decided that this was for the best for now. However, the war had decimated his pet nation's forces, and 27C decided that he would infiltrate all of the nations that it could. The missiles were launched from underground bases deep in Zerania. Codes that changed only hourly were not even challenging for 27C. The temporal beacon that guided Skorpat's ship went dark. All stop, Skorpat commanded the ship. Inertia dampeners made the transition from optimal speed to stationary less excruciating. Vlad, can we still stay in the channel and avoid the Almega band? Yes, at 1/3 thrust, was the digital reply. Fear not, Myrana, we will use the additional 9 months to train with vari-weights, added gravity and the shadow chamber and sims. 9 months, exclaimed Myrana. Have we enough food and water? Yes, replied Skorpat, resisting the temptation to add, you have much to learn. It was 7 months and 3 weeks later, after deftly navigating space, only nudging the negative band once or twice in a few dicey situations, that the next crisis arose. Ignosian battlecruiser Skorpat! Vlad's voice had no urgency, but was accompanied by klaxons and a few red warning lights. The fleet was not there by accident. The Ignosians had declared war on the Skeeth. Their imposing spherical spacecraft loomed. Knowing there was no chance of victory or evading the massive molten firepower they would unleash, Skorpat hooked the control hard to the right and back and said something he intended to be comforting to Myrana, who turned to face him as the words became an ironic curse and chilling warning. We are going to walk in the valley of the shadow. If you know yourself inwardly, there will be no consequence. If you do not, then learning will be your final lesson. As the Vladimir star skiff was forcibly driven off course, a planet, unfamiliar and foreboding, loomed into view. It bore an eerie resemblance to Earth, yet it was unlike anything they had ever seen. What in the 7 stars is that? Skorpat muttered, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and fascination. The planet, wreathed in a nebulous mist, was a maelstrom of haunting images and echoes of past military conflicts. It was as if the dreams and nightmares of countless fallen warriors had coalesced to form this nightmarish new world. Its surface, scarred with the remnants of ancient battles, was a chilling testament to the horrors of war. The ghostly apparitions of long-dead soldiers marched in endless spectral parades across the planet's surface, their hollow eyes reflecting the torment of their eternal damnation. The chilling sounds of gunfire and the anguished cries of the dying filled the air, creating a symphony of despair that echoed throughout the cosmos. Looks like we've found ourselves in the Valley of the Shadow, Skorpat muttered, his voice barely above a whisper as he stared at the nightmare planet. As the Vladimir star skiff descended onto the planet, the crew braced themselves for the adventures that lay ahead, their hearts heavy with a sense of foreboding. If you know yourself inwardly, there will be no consequence. If you do not, then learning will be your final lesson, Skorpat echoed his earlier warning, his voice a solemn reminder of the trials they were about to face.